reports that the Chancellor is cracking down on public sector waste to stabilise finances amid growing disquiet from MPs over the economy. The Times reports that the anti-corruption minister is under pressure to resign after Bangladesh's leader condemned her use of properties gifted by the former regime. The Observer reports that a senior minister has declared Britain's new online safety laws non-negotiable, despite challenges from Mark Zuckerberg and Donald Trump. The Mail on Sunday says senior government sources claim that Dominic Cummings is helping Elon Musk plan a new startup party in Britain. The Mirror reports on Reform UK leader Nigel Farage juggling 8 part-time jobs on top of being an MP. The Express reports that AI is aiding IVF by matching the strongest sperm with the best eggs, maximising success and sparing women from financial strain. The Star says new studies show multitasking can make us less intelligent because our brains struggle to handle several activities at once. And a reminder that by scanning the QR code you'll see on screen during the programme, you can check out the front pages of tomorrow's papers while you watch us. So let's look at the papers with Theo and Christina. Great to have you here. Let's start with the front page of the Mail on Sunday, one of the stories I was just mentioning there. Musk and Cummings in plot to sabotage UK politics. Now, it seems like just 5 minutes ago that Nigel Farage was Elon Musk's favourite political figure in the UK. But now it seems it might be Dominic Cummings. Theo, do you want to talk us through this?
Yes, this is a story that's come from senior government sources which claim that Dominic Cummings has been communicating with Mr Musk via WhatsApp about plans to start for a new start-up party which he hopes will smash the traditional Westminster system. Dominic Cummings, you'll remember, was a former chief advisor to Boris Johnson as his Chief of Staff. What's interesting, obviously, as you mentioned there, of course, Nigel Farage, is that Elon Musk was looking at a donation we understood it's going to be around $100 million or something to Reform. And, of course, they fell out because Nigel Farage asked Elon Musk, or we understand those around Nigel Farage, asked Elon Musk not to back Tommy Robinson. They didn't think that was helpful to Reform's cause. So, anyway, Elon Musk is now investing time and headspace with Dominic Cummings. The idea that, and I'm not sure Elon Musk is necessarily familiar with the parliamentary system we have in this country, but the idea that you can create a new start-up party out of nothing that can smash the political system is for the birds, isn't it? Because Nigel Farage, OK, he wants to be seen as the outsider, but he spent, 10 years at the front line of British politics to get to where he is now. He's got 4 million votes at the last election, but only 5 MPs because we have first past the post. So, new parties, especially when you've already got that usurper space occupied by Reform, I can't see it going anywhere.
Christina, it does seem to show almost a determination from Elon Musk to be involved, not just in British politics, in fairness, he's getting involved in European politics as well.
Yes, he does seem to, but, strangely, he's picking Europe rather than, say, Asia or, many of the parts of the world where he has very strong business interests. And somebody did an analysis today on X, Twitter, and 53% of his tweets or retweets, I refuse to call them whatever you're meant to call them nowadays, were misinformation. A high percentage were attacks on foreign governments and a high percentage were hate speech. None of them were neutral. There were no attacks on Russia and no attacks on China. So I have to admit, for me, one of the worst moments of the week was reading the headline, I think it was in the Times, but it may have been in the FT initially, which said that before all these recent attacks on Keir Starmer and Jess Phillips and various members of the British government, but most particularly Keir Starmer, that Elon Musk had had discussions about deliberately undermining the UK, the government of the UK, and possibly our currency. And I felt sick because I thought this man, has no democratic, he is an unelected figure, happens to be a very rich man with extremely idiosyncratic political views based largely on disinformation and algorithms on his own platform, which are pushing to him accounts which are full of disinformation. What he has tweeted in relation to the so-called grooming scandal and Keir Starmer's role in it is just a bunch of lies. And to call Jess Phillips someone who supports rape, enables rape and genocide is one of the most shocking things I've ever heard, because there is literally no British MP who has done more for victims of sexual violence than Jess Phillips. So Elon Musk, absolutely shocking. But the fact that a British man, Dominic Cummings, is, according to this story, helping orchestrate Elon Musk's vitriolic attacks on British politicians is absolutely disgraceful. In fact, I think it puts him in the category of a traitor, because at least if you're going to attack someone's political system, at least use facts. Dominic Cummings does know the difference between facts and total conspiracy theories, and Elon Musk's attacks on our government are based on conspiracy theories. So I think, you know, whatever happens with the Startup Party, if Dominic Cummings has any role in what Elon Musk is doing, I think it is absolutely shocking.
OK, well, there's a lot that we don't know, obviously, about the background to this story, so we'll see how it develops going forward. Let's look at the Sunday Times now. Pressure grows on Starmer to sack the minister. Now, the minister in question is Tulip Siddiq, the economic secretary to the Treasury. And I guess very, very different to what we were just discussing. But again, international influences on our government. Talk us through this story, Theo.
So this is the leader of Bangladesh, Mohammed Yunus, said London properties, this is in an interview with the Sunday Times, used by Tulip Siddiq should be returned if she is found to have benefited from, and I'm quoting here, plain robbery. Of course, Tulip Siddiq is the economic secretary to the Treasury, and as part of her brief, she's in charge of corruption. By my estimate, by my count, this is now the fourth story since the original. Firstly, we had the original story, which of course goes back to the part that her family played in allegations coming out of Bangladesh about for benefiting from
her aunt is Sheikh Hasina,
benefiting to the tune of £4 billion, I think, from a nuclear power plant deal that with the Russians that totalled something like £10 billion. We then had, there was allegations about a flat in King's Cross that she was apparently gifted, and then in a separate flat in Hampstead where she stayed. I think it belonged to her sister. What I don't understand from Number 10's point of view now, in fairness to Tulip Siddiq, she's referred herself to Sir Keir Starmer's advisor on ethics, and she's also had a conversation, we understand, with the propriety and ethics team within the Cabinet Office. But what I don't understand is why Number 10 haven't simply come to the conclusion that actually we're going to get story after story after story. They're coming out of many of these stories are coming out of Bangladesh. This story, and of course the original story, is coming out of Bangladesh. It's beyond their control, and I know Tulip Siddiq says she's done nothing wrong, but it almost misses the point. It's about actually, Keir Starmer needs to hold his government beyond reproach, especially given the campaign that they ran in the summer about taking over from the Tories. And it would have been sensible, I would have thought, early doors for Tulip Siddiq to have stepped aside, allowed the investigation to happen. If she was found to have done nothing wrong, that's absolutely fine. She then has a route back into government at the next reshuffle. But now it's almost too late, because Kemi Badenoch, the Conservative leader, is calling for Tulip Siddiq to be sacked by Keir Starmer. So if he sacks her, then it looks like he's doing it at the request of the opposition leader.
Christina, I want to move on to another story and just wondering if you have anything to add to that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. And for me, one of the shocking things that emerged in this story is that the Bangladeshi British former mayor of Camden apparently declared in 2023 that he had installed Siddiq as an MP after being asked to do so by her mother. Now, obviously, he was in no position to install Siddiq as an MP because she has to be elected as an MP. However, it does suggest that Bangladeshi politicians, namely her aunt, have been influential in British politics. And I don't understand why someone who earns 90,000 quid a year needs to be living in flats given to her by Bangladeshi billionaires registered in the British Virgin Islands. It's not 100% clear where these flats were registered, but why does she need to live in flats that don't bought by rich Bangladeshis in Hampstead or wherever? So I do think this has a bad smell to it, and I agree with you, Theo, that she should stand down until the facts are ascertained.
Let's move to the Sunday Telegraph now. Reeves to wage war on waste as Labour critics circle. Now, obviously not a fantastic week for Rachel Reeves. She is in China. She's being criticised. We've seen an increase in government borrowing. The pound is down. She says growth is the number one mission of this government. There hasn't been much growth. And so now she's focusing on, I guess, Christina, over to you, on waste.
Yes, well, I think it's going to be a challenge because public services have been cut to the bone under the Tories and many of them are on the point of collapse, not least the NHS. So it's very easy to talk about waste until you are in charge of a government department and then quite hard to unearth it. I think anyone who has experience of the NHS would see that, that it's got enormous problems, but also there is great waste. For example, my partner recently had 3 letters about changing one appointment, which arrived about 4 weeks after they were sent.
Let me just, so we're running out of time. I just want to give Theo a word.
All I was going to say was it seems to be bringing 2 stories together. We knew about these panels that are going to come in, bringing in the private sector to various departments to look at the ways that government departments can cut spending in every possible area, at the same time as Rachel Reeves is trying to restore the market's faith in the government's economic plans. Of course, going back to the budget of October the 30th, she now, extraordinary statistic, in fact, 1 in every 4 of the £40 billion she raised in taxes in that budget is now going to be swallowed up by the higher borrowing costs. We saw what's happened to the gilt markets last week, and she needs to install confidence quickly, and this is the way she's going to go and do it. Whether she's successful, I'm not sure.
We will see. Theo, Christina, stay with us. Coming up, we'll be discussing this on the front of the Mirror, the headline, 9 jobs, Nigel, referring, of course, to the Reform UK leader, Nigel Farage.
Big stories don't always come from big cities. I'm Lisa Dowd and I'm Sky's Midlands correspondent.
You are not getting in this elevator, okay?
The judge made it very clear that she could see no justifiable reason why Sakulas wasn't here facing British justice.
I promised I would get him justice.
Free, wherever you get your news. This is what they're up against, that the wind is the really big problems. It is back-breaking work and the smoke is thick. It's been working well. Water levels are dropping, but no one knows what impact further rain will have. What would you do if this place wasn't open? This is the exact spot in Nottingham where their 19-year-old son, Barnaby Webber, lost his life.
I just think it's so cruel and so harsh.
It's really scary. We're terrified.
In this community, I'm told that everybody knows someone affected by COVID.
Hopefully this will be the last wave.
Sky News gets the full story first. Change seems tantalisingly close in this corner of the UK. Wales was the first to introduce the plastic bag charge. It's legal to let go. Set the speed and take the hands off. It's almost driverless, but not quite. Hans is a highly trained police dog. The force is incredible. It's really frightening, actually. This is my patch, my specialism. It's also my home.
Two clubs separated by a 3.5-mile stretch of urban North London. The North London derby occupies centre stage. And that's a beautiful finish. It's circle, that's just stunning.
The North London derby, only on Peacock.
I'm James Matthews and I'm Sky's US correspondent, based here in Washington, D.C. Donald Trump, it would appear, is about to learn his fate. There's no doubting the strength of this hurricane as it roars through. Sky News, get the full story first. Do you fear a 4th indictment?
He's from Sky News. He's from Sky News. He's entitled to ask me questions.
There's always more to the news than a headline. We want to discover, to delve a little deeper, to find out what's really going on. Explanation Analysis, the people at the heart of every story. I'm Neil Patterson, and this is the Sky News Daily Podcast. So, by the end, we'll hopefully all understand what's going on in the world just that little better. Available wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back. You're watching the press preview with me once again, Theo Usherwood and Christina Patterson. All right, let's go straight to front page of the Sunday Telegraph. A story about disability benefit claims and the fact that many civil servants are still working from home, and so a lot of these claims are actually assessed remotely, and that raises the risk of fraud. Theo?
Yes, so this is a story from the Telegraph saying more than 9 in 10 disability benefit claims are being assessed remotely. The argument from the Conservatives, Jacob Rees-Mogg, former Minister for Government Efficiencies, quoted in the piece saying that face-to-face appointments are needed in order to deter scroungers, and their projections which put around 4.2 million adults in the UK expected to be claiming the PIP payments by 2030, up from around 3.2 million currently. These forms, they're 50 pages long with more than 50 questions. They are, and usually to get the higher rates of these payments, you need to be able to supplement your form with substantiate it with evidence from GPs or practitioners who are responsible for your care. And the clue's in the name as well. You know, they're personal independent payments, so they're helping people, disabled people, live the best lives that they possibly can, go to work, do jobs. I'm not sure that going after trying to cut down the number of people who are able to claim the correct rate that they are entitled to. And we're talking about government waste in the last quarter. I'm not sure that that's necessarily going to be the way to promote economic growth. We need to be supporting disabled people into the economy if we're going to be looking to get economic growth, rather than just simply taking away their personal independence payments.
We're just going to move on to the next story, otherwise we're not going to be able to get it in. Sunday Times, it's about BBC funding and the Culture Secretary thinking about, I think he wants to abolish the licence fee, but also considering making it part of general taxation.
Yes, well, there was so much Tory animosity towards the licence fee, or has been in recent years, and it's become increasingly controversial, not least because a lot of people don't pay it, a lot of people don't watch TV, a lot of people just watch social media, TikTok, YouTube, and so on. And the BBC is deemed to be in crisis in all kinds of ways. And I mean, I think the BBC is one of the institutions we should be most proud of. It's probably one of our strongest sources of soft power globally. But Lisa Nandy is apparently prepared to be quite radical on this, and she's talked to Keir Starmer about it, who is also prepared to be quite radical on this. She's also talked about the possibility of turning the BBC into a mutual, in which case it would be partly owned by British taxpayers. And that would give people more of a say in how it's run. So I think it's good that she's looking at, kind of serious radical options, because we should be incredibly proud of the BBC. We just need to look at America to see what has happened to the media there, how every source of media there is profoundly partisan. We desperately need to continue to have a neutral source of our media, as well as Sky News, which is, of course, completely wonderful. And I think that this sounds like an interesting avenue to explore.
All right, we've got 1 minute left. I want to look at the story, the Sunday Mirror, 9 jobs. Nigel, this is Nigel Farage, of course, who is the MP for Clacton, but there's lots of other things as well, 8 other jobs.
Yes, he's earned more than £570,000 in 6 months since becoming the MP, with his 8 other jobs, as well as being an MP. In fairness to Nigel Farage, and I don't carry a candle necessarily for Mr Farage or for Reform UK, he's always been fairly transparent about his other jobs. He has various platforms which he's on and outlets that he broadcasts with. I think it's up to the people of Clacton. If they don't like it, if they don't see him, if he's not dealing with the antisocial behaviour in Clacton, or he's not dealing with the waits at the GP surgery, well, they can vote him out in 2029.
Apparently, the quote here is, "I work more hours a week than most people could even contemplate."
Well,
Christina?
I don't think anyone doubts that he does work extremely hard, and his man of the people having a pint in the pub is a shtick, because I doubt he has very much time to have many pints in pubs. But I'm absolutely no fan of his, but he does work very hard. He's a brilliant communicator. He's very big on TikTok. I think the Tories have every reason to be very scared of him.
He's got 9 jobs. Christina Patterson, Theo Usherwood, thank you both so much. I'll see you in the next hour. Now, let's take a quick look at the weather. Well, the bitter cold weather will gradually lose its grip over the weekend, but it will take some time for everywhere to warm up. It's another cold start for central and eastern parts of Britain on Sunday morning, with some stubborn freezing fog patches and the risk of ice. There may be some mist and fog further west, but it's a touch milder. Although milder air will slowly push in from the southwest for much of England and Wales, it's another cold day with spells of winter sunshine and a few lingering fog patches. Temperatures will recover to near average for Scotland, Ireland and Northern Ireland, but western fringes will be cloudier. And coming up next on Sky News at 11, we'll have more from Los Angeles. You can see the latest pictures there, and also the latest death toll. 13 people are now known to have died.
We've got your Sunday mornings covered. From the front page and the sounds of the streets to the voices of the people who make the major calls and big picture politics beyond Westminster. We'll put you at the heart of our story. A new start to Sunday.
I'm ready. Are you?